my girlfriend went to Mauritius for 2 weeks. And Mauritius is an island country in the Indian Ocean, and it just lays over 1,000 kilometers away from Madagascar. The trip took around 13 hours from Belgium, so that's pretty long. First we had to go for 6.5 hours to Dubai, and there we had a layover and another 6.5 hours just to Mauritius. From Dubai to Mauritius, we flew in this insane double-floored Airbus A380, and this thing was massive. All of the photos that you saw until now are shot on a Lumix LX3, and in the rest of the video, all of the photos and videos will be a combination of the Lumix S5II, the Lumix LX3, the DJI Mini 4 Pro, and the Insta360 X3. So we stayed near a place called Flic-en-Flac, and this place has one of the most famous beaches in Mauritius and is around 13 kilometers long. Right off the bat, we were mesmerized by this beautiful island. The clear water, the white beaches, the beautiful palm trees. It was almost like it was a dream. But the first couple of days we took it pretty easy. We just chilled out, we had a couple of beach days, and we just got some photos and videos of the environment. The sunsets were honestly really beautiful. We also had some amazing blue-hour sceneries. Third day, we had a trip booked to swim with turtles. Yeah, you heard that right. And honestly, we were super excited for this. And the funny thing is that the place that we were heading to was called Trou au Biche. But obviously it almost sounds like bitches, so I found that funny. But honestly, I feel it was a bit expensive for what it was because we had to pay 20 euros per person. And when we stepped on a boat, we just went like 100 meters or something offshore. And there was the place where we could swim with the turtles. So it was kind of a ripoff, but at the same time, I mean, I get it. The animals were absolutely beautiful and it was just mesmerizing to see them from up close. How they were just floating through the water like it was nothing and how majestic they were. Yeah, that was a really beautiful experience for sure. Obviously there were lots of other boats as well and other people in the water because this is some kind of tourist attraction, as I would have thought, but this kind of sucked and it took a bit away from the experience because some people were really annoying and really not friendly towards these animals because they really wanted to touch the turtles, and I was like, okay, we're already disturbing the turtles in their natural habitat, so why annoy them even more and why touch them? I mean, why is this necessary? So that was kind of annoying, but yeah. And the local people probably do these trips every single day, and even though it strikes a bit with my conscience and I don't really like that, I mean, what can we do about it? I just hope that the animals don't find it too disturbing, and if they really found it too disturbing, they would just swim away, right? Or at least that's what I would like to think. After this trip with the turtles, I got some pretty amazing drone shots as well. I mean, every time I fly this thing up in the air, I just get amazed by how epic these shots are with such a tiny sensor and such a tiny drone. I mean, this thing it's a little workhorse. It's a beast. And by the way, for all these shots, I had to crank the shutter speed by a lot because the ND filters from DJI were sold out everywhere, so I couldn't get my hands on them. But I don't think it's really noticeable because you're flying way up in the air, and with these kind of shots, cranking your shutter speed isn't that jarring. So on the next trip we went to visit some waterfalls. There was one in the park called Gamarel or I don't know how you pronounce it. But the waterfall itself was pretty beautiful, it was pretty epic, but we had to look at it from a pretty far distance, and obviously I couldn't fly the drone over there, so that was a bit of a bummer, but nothing to do about it. I mean, I get it. And in this part there was also this other natural phenomenon called the seven colored earth, which were basically just some hills and some colored sand, and apparently there are 7 different colors, but I maybe saw like 3 or 4 colors maximum, and the colors weren't that different from each other. I mean, if the colors would have been like pink, yellow, orange, blue, that would have been pretty cool, but they were just like different hues of orange, reddish, so it wasn't that spectacular. A bit further we saw a couple of turtles, and they were pretty cute, but they didn't have that much space to go around, so that was pretty sad, and we quite quickly left the natural park. Overall, we weren't really impressed, so it was time to get a 10 again at Lamar Beach. When we got on this beach, I noticed this inclined palm tree, and I knew I had to get a couple of compositions from it. So I got a couple of good photos and one of my most visually satisfying drone shots of the whole trip. To finish off the day, we went to an actual, real natural phenomenon 1 kilometer further, and these are the so-called underwater waterfalls of Mauritius. The cool thing about this is that it's just some kind of optical illusion because of the sand that's moving underwater, which makes it look like it's an underwater waterfall. But to get here it was pretty sketchy, because when we arrived at the spot, I quite quickly noticed why this was one of the surfer hotspots of the whole island, because there was just so much wind over there. When we arrived there, my girlfriend immediately noticed something. We just looked up to the tree, and over there to our left we saw a DJI mini drone already in a tree. So yeah, that wasn't a good sign. But anyway, I really wanted to get that shot, so I dared to fly my drone in the air, and I also had to pay attention to airplanes and helicopters, because obviously this was a daily route that they were taking to show other tourists the underwater waterfall as well. Yeah, we managed to get a couple of shots. I actually wanted to get a bit further offshore, but the wind was so strong that I didn't actually want to do it because the battery drained pretty quickly as well. But in the end, I'm pretty happy that we got a couple of drone shots of this location, and yeah, mission accomplished. If there's one thing that's a must do for me and my girlfriend while being on holiday, that's a boat trip. I just love being on the sea, laying on a boat while the sun is blasting, just cruising through the water, looking for animals and fish around you. It's one of the most nice things to do when you're on holiday, in my opinion. Zodiac Trip was to visit a small waterfall. But since this is a tourist attraction, we obviously had to wait in the queue behind other boats to get closer to the waterfall. But the waterfall itself wasn't that spectacular, to be honest. And after that we were going to one of the most beautiful islands of Mauritius, which was called Îlot Serre. And over there I had a plan that my girlfriend didn't know about yet. The weather wasn't too promising at the start of this day, so I was actually contemplating on whether or not I was going to continue with my plan, but as the day went on, the sun was shining and it was a really, really nice day. The island was actually beautiful, and after finding the perfect spot, and I was actually pretty lucky with the framing because I actually wanted to frame us like right underneath the tree, and as you can see we were like more framed to the right of the image, but I was pretty lucky that we weren't out of the image because that would have sucked. I also put my drone up in the air, but that framing wasn't too well and you couldn't really see much from it, so I just skipped that shot. But anyway, for the people wondering how I got that shot and why she didn't look behind her, whenever I take like photos or videos of my girlfriend, I always tell her like, yeah, okay, now you can turn your head to the right because that usually makes for a good shot, and she knew that she had to wait for that moment, so that was my perfect moment to propose to her, and that's why I could do something like this. Me and my fiancée, still pretty weird to say that, also went to visit the capital. We aren't big city people and we prefer to go around in nature, in the mountains, sea, beaches, yeah, stuff like that. And we don't like pretty crowded places, but we still wanted to visit the capital obviously for one day. So that's what we did. Yeah, so we didn't stay for too long, and I also didn't get any photos of those places because that's not really what interests me. And something that I didn't know before we visited Mauritius is the fact that there are so many Indian people over there. And apparently this traces back from the indentured workers from India. The British Crown shipped some 500,000 of them to Mauritius from 1834 to 1920 as sugarcane field workers. And that obviously makes a lot of sense. And after we finished our day at the capital pretty early, we went to our local region again, so Fujifilm, and there we went on a hunt for some inclined palm tree. And I think it was really worth it because we got some pretty cool portrait photos and a couple of cool drone shots as well. Because we got quite bored after a while, we booked some extra trips and we did another boat trip to visit two very beautiful islands, and there was quite a bit of ambiance. pretty simple boat shot over here. It's shot with the LX3 and I'm really amazed by the color that I can get out of this camera. I mean, especially for daylight shots. I mean, sometimes you don't even need anything else than a small camera like this. Just look at this. Beautiful, right? By the way, all of the photos that you've seen in the video are edited with my latest presets, which I'm currently working on right now, but I will be releasing them pretty quickly. But if you'd be interested in any of my older presets, get them down in the link in the description below. The next day started off pretty awful. We were going to snorkel with dolphins and go whale watching, but right from the moment that we woke up, it was just pouring rain. The weather was really awful and we were actually contemplating on whether or not we wanted to go through with the trip. And this is also an option that the organizer gave us, like, do you still want to go on a boat or not? But we went through with it and it was an amazing experience. Swimming with these dolphins was just absolutely beautiful. I mean, just look at this footage. Obviously, like with the turtles, there were quite a lot of other boats as well, and it looked like we were kind of hunting them down, which sucked. I mean, it just strikes with my conscience and I don't really like to do that, but at the same time I really want to experience something like that, so it's always like a double-edged sword, you know. But these animals were absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see any whales because it was kind of the end of whale season, but it was a truly unforgettable experience. I hope you enjoyed the video and all the photos. Overall, I would definitely recommend to visit this island, but the next time I would go there, for example, or if you would want to go there, I would recommend you to like stay for 3 nights at that place, then 3 other nights at that place, because the island isn't that big and maybe 14 days was a bit too long as well, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, I'm glad that we went there. The place was absolutely beautiful, and if you like the island life, beaches, white sand, clear water, you just have to go there. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely enjoy this travel video to Madeira as well. That's it. Thanks. Peace.